power ranking my buddy's fantasy football league. They just drafted. It's a 12-man league, 3 flexes, full point PPR, no tight end. Let's get into it. At number 12, I've got the Tua-led team. Look, Tua is not a top 12 fantasy quarterback. No way at all. He's also injury prone, so you won't even get the mediocre production he might give you. Look, Genti, I'm very low on him. He might be my biggest bust of the year. Bad situation. They don't have weapons on the outside. The only weapon is Brock Bowers, which means there's going to be more safeties, more linebackers, more people in the box doubling Brock, because that's the only receiver they have. They're going to be losing a lot of games, so they're not going to be throwing the football. And I don't think Genti's a generational prospect. I think he's a good prospect. I think he's a mid to late first round running back. I don't think he's an elite fantasy option. Bucky Irving, once again, although I think he's a great player, he's a smaller running back in an offense that just drafted Emeka Egbuka. And what is he, the 4th receiving option? Maybe the 5th? I don't love Bucky Irving either. Wide receiver-wise, we got Jalen Waddle, we got Juwan Jennings. I mean, come on, give me a break. You're trying to stack Waddle with Tua. Talk about the worst stacks in history. I mean, that's absolutely horrific. Juwan Jennings is an okay bench player. Drafting tight ends in this league, I mean, Trey McBride, fine, he can probably start in your flex, but tight ends are going to have a low floor week to week. They're going to have a low ceiling week to week. And then throughout the entire season, even if you get the best tight end, it's wide receiver 20. So I wouldn't even worry about tight ends unless you're gifted one. Kyren Williams, okay. I mean, honestly, he probably is going to outscore Genti and Irving. But still, I don't love it. Onto the bench, you got Cam Ward, you got Shedeur Sanders. I mean, it's cool. You've got 3 mediocre quarterbacks. Isaac Guerendo, I mean, he could break out. Dylan Sampson, maybe. I mean, Deebo Samuels is an interesting name. I mean, this fantasy team sucks, but Deebo Samuels with Terry McLaurin demanding to be traded, Deebo could be an interesting play here, but overall, I think the team it's shit. Now on to the number 11 spot. We've got Joe Burrow, quarterback, who's a great real-life quarterback in fantasy. I don't think he's a top 6 quarterback, and I don't think he's the high upside on a week-to-week basis to win you a few weeks with the legs. Chuba Hubbard, Brian Robinson. I mean, Brian Robinson's okay. Daniel steals touches from him. Debo's probably going to steal touches from him. Eckler obviously steals receiving touches from him. He's a decent goal line back, but you're hoping for a lot of touchdowns. I do like Puka. Terry McLaurin, I can't really comment on. I don't know where he's going to be playing or if he's holding out. If he holds out, you're screwed. If he does play, it obviously depends on where he goes, so I can't really make much of a comment on that. Brock Bowers, I mean, he's cool, but I'm going to repeat this throughout the video. These tight ends you were drafting on an ADP for you needing a tight end. So people take tight ends earlier than they should because you need a tight end on your roster, so you don't want to get gypped with none. In this league, you don't need a tight end, which I think is great. So I just won't even touch him. So, I mean, Brock Bowers is cool. I mean, he's kind of like a wide receiver 3, in my opinion. Matthew Golden's an interesting possibility. The bench with this team, you got May. Okay, I'm kind of a May hater. Rashad Bateman, I think he will be a top 25 receiver. I don't think that's going to make up for the rest of this team. Running back is weak. Quarterback's weak. I just don't see this team making a legit run. Coming in at number 10, we got the Lamar Jackson-led team. Look, Lamar's great. Awesome. Top 3 quarterback in fantasy. Saquon Barkley, once again, top 3, top 5 running back in fantasy. I'm a little lower on Saquon than most people are. I think that the 400 touches he had last season, as well as the longer season in general, I think both those things will exacerbate injuries throughout the season, make it more likely he gets injured. The rest of this team, though, I mean, it's a complete disaster. TreVeyon Henderson is the only guy out of everyone on this first screen that I have any hope is going to be a decent player. Patriots invested draft capital, new coaching staff. I think he'll be okay. Njigba, especially in PPR. Njigba really is a wide receiver 1. Cortland Sutton is a wide receiver 2. Jerry Jeudy is a fine wide receiver 3. DeAndre Swift, maybe. Dave Njoku, a completely irrelevant tight end. You got Bryce Young on the bench. I think he'll be good, but you're not going to be playing him. Cedric Tillman probably will be a flex caliber guy. I mean, I just don't see it with this team. I think this team sucks as well. At number 9, we've got the Patrick Mahomes-led team. Look, Patrick's great. I think he will have somewhat of a bounce-back year and throw for more touchdowns and yards. Gibbs, also fine. I think his ceiling is kind of capped. I don't think he's a league winner. I think if the team is good, you can win the championship with him. But I don't think Gibbs is the kind of guy that's going to rush for 18 touchdowns and 1,800 yards. I don't think he's got that kind of frame on him. But he's got a super high floor. The worst case scenario is he's the 10th best running back in fantasy, so that's great. R.J. Harvey, okay, they just signed J.K. Dobbins. I don't know why you'd sign Dobbins and then not use him. Ladd McConkey, I'm really low on Ladd. I'm really low on him. He's a great slot receiver. That offense does not have that many passes to go around, and he just doesn't have the body type to be a top 12 receiver in fantasy. I mean, in all likelihood, there is going to be some random guy, whether he's on the roster, whether he is an undrafted guy, a free agent, a trade, that is going to be the starting wide. And he's going to start Ladd McConkey, obviously. But when I say starter, I mean the X factor. Ladd McConkey is not going to be the number one receiver on a legit playoff contender. Tyreek Hill's a wild card. Who knows what happens with that Dolphins offense? I mean, look, Tyreek Hill could make this team go from pretty bad to pretty good. He could maybe get you into the playoffs. DK's on a horrific offense. He's probably going to punch Aaron Rodgers in the head. That's going to be a disaster. Khalil Shakur, okay. Williams, okay. Stroud's a crazy guy to have on your bench. If you can package Stroud, I think Christian Kirk's going to have a good year too. So if Stroud and Kirk have a good, couple first weeks, you could probably salvage that and pick up another running back. I mean, listen, this team has potential to be good. You need McConkey to actually be the true wide receiver one, which I don't believe. You need Tyreek Hill to return back to form, and you need DK to not get in a fight with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, this team's got some potential. And coming in at number 8, I believe. Let's check it out. Is this number 8? Yes, I believe this is the number 8 team. Yeah. Alrighty, number 8. Now, one thing I want to point out before we get to number 8 is the commissioner, who I do like. I won't name any names, but the commissioner who I do like personally. They have a 12-man league and 8 teams make the playoffs. I don't like it. I'm just going to be honest. I do not like the format. I think it just is a bit ridiculous if you ask me. 8 teams. I would have 4 teams make the playoffs. What's the point of having an 8? I mean, that legitimately means that, number one, there's a few issues with this, depending on which way you want to look at it. If you're a great team, that means you get no bye week. So if you want to make the argument that you should do 6 teams so that the best teams get a bye week, you've got 3 through 6 play, 1 and 2 get a bye week, that's a fine format. I would prefer probably 4. But nonetheless, you're getting the worst of both worlds. Everybody makes the playoffs. And then the best teams could be out in round 1. So, I don't like it. Anyways, on to number 8. So, all these teams moving forward having the playoffs. Got Baker quarterback. I think he's not a top 6 guy. Derrick Henry, fine RB1. I like it. Aaron Jones, I think that offense is going to be somewhat anemic this year. And I think McCarthy's going to steal a lot of rushing touchdowns, rushing yards from Aaron Jones. And I know Aaron Jones is more of a receiving back anyways, but when you don't have a quarterback that can deliver you the ball, it doesn't matter. Now, Nico, I think, is a fine wide receiver. I would say he's average. I'd say Derrick Henry's an average RB1. Marvin Harrison, huge question mark on what's going to happen over there in Arizona. Rashee Rice, I don't think he's the receiver you want in this offense. I'm more of an Xavier Worthy. Travis Kelce, nobody has much faith in him. And Emeka Egbuka. The Bucks, I mean, you kind of got a decent stack there, but the Bucks have so many weapons. On the bench, you got Penix and Milroe. I mean, I do like that. One of those guys could get flipped. I think there's a good chance Blake Corum gets an increased workload. Zach Charbonnet also. Raheem Mostert also. So this team does have some potential. If a few things break right for you, you got one of those running backs to step up. You got a quarterback. You can package maybe a Or maybe one of those quarterbacks ends up being a top 5 guy. So I think this roster has potential. It is banking on a lot of, Marvin Harrison develops, one of your bench running backs develops. So you're needing a lot of things to happen. On to number 7, we got the Josh Allen-led team. Look, Josh Allen's the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. He's got a floor of top 3, top 5. Barring injury, he's going to be top 5. Running back room is a little weak. I do think Chase Brown is a great RB2. I think Ken Walker is a great RB3, probably a low-end RB2. But you don't have that, go-to RB1. Jamar Chase, excellent. I don't like having him and Brown on the same team because ideally in fantasy, for you to win, you need everything to break right. Well, when you have Chase and Brown on the same team, everything can't break right because all the touchdowns can't go to both of them. So on a week-to-week basis, you're limiting your ceiling, which is what you need to win it all. So roster construction, this was not well thought out. Devontae Smith, the Eagles' offense is so crowded. Same thing with the Bucs. I'm going to say that a few times in this video. But just such crowded offenses. Diggs, Addison, both parts of in different roles. I mean, Addison is the wide receiver 2, probably a 3rd or 4th option. Horrific offense, in my opinion. Diggs is even in an even worse offense, but at least he's the number 1 target, probably. On the bench, you got Purdy, you got Stevenson. If Derrick Henry goes down, Keaton Mitchell could be solid. So that's a potential great play. Overall, though, I think it's a good team. It's about average. Alrighty, and let's get on to number 6. So this is the top half of the league. We got Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Pretty solid. I'm not sure I like this name that he's got for him. It's a little strange. Hurts is, he's the 4th, 5th best fantasy quarterback. You got Allen. You got Jackson. You got Kyler Murray if he's healthy. You got Hurts. Mahomes as well. Bijan and JT, this is the best running back duo in the league. I think Bijan's the 101. I think he's the best player in fantasy. I think Jonathan Taylor, look, he does need some things to break right for him because the quarterback situation is a little murky. And you kind of want it to be bad, but you also kind of want it to be good, and I'll explain why. So both those quarterbacks are kind of run-first guys that don't have a very good arm. And if this is going to be a heavy read option RPO type offense that scores a decent amount of points, JT could be a top 10 running back in fantasy, but he also could just be a super efficient guy on a bad offense. Wide receiver room, you got Wilson, you got Flowers, you got Ridley. I think Ridley's going to be a sleeper this year. I think Flowers will be solid. Wilson, I don't know. I mean, you can't get the football thrown to you by Justin Fields. Tyrone Tracy, Etienne, I'm low on both of those guys, but as flexes, I think they're perfectly fine. This is where I really like this team. You have Xavier Legette, starting wide receiver. You got Dobbins, who is going to be a starting running back. You got Warren, who's going to be a starting running back. You got Love and Rodgers. I mean, you're going to have a great quarterback situation. Possibly you'll be able to trade one of those 3 guys. The running back situation is insane. Wide receiver leaves a little bit to be desired. I mean, it's not amazing, but I like this team a lot. Alrighty, and I believe we are on number 5. 4, 5, 2, yep. Number 5, we got Caleb Williams at quarterback. I think he's a fine guy. I mean, he's below average for sure. He's not a top 6 quarterback, but he does have that potential. And because of his rushing upside, I think he'll have a decently high floor. James Cook, I'm projecting he is not holding out. If he is holding out, I will drop his team 2 or 3 spots. So from 5 to probably 7 or 8. Montgomery is a weak RB. I mean, we know this. That's not debatable. Amon-Ra, fine wide receiver 1. A.J. Brown, fine wide receiver number 2. I would say both those guys. A.J. Brown's a great wide receiver number 2, and Brown's a kind of average wide receiver number 1. But together, they're great. DJ Moore, the stack with Caleb Williams, super underrated stack. I think this offense should be much, much better. I think DJ Moore, I mean, you've got a great wide receiver group. Chris Olave is in a horrific situation, but it's him and Alvin Kamara, and that's it. And that is it. They've got to put together something. I mean, the yards, it might not be much that the Saints offense, points-wise, scoring, yards-wise, moving the football, but they're all going to be between Olave and and Alvin Kamara. And Jacoby Myers, I don't know who they're throwing the football to. I guess Brock Bowers, but it's got to be Myers. The bench is nice. I have no clue why J.J. McCarthy was drafted. Or, not J.J. McCarthy. Tom Brady. I have no clue why Tom Brady was drafted. But the quarterback room is insane. You got Kyler Murray, who I think could be a top 5 guy. You got McCarthy, who I'm not very high on, but any rookie quarterback, and I know he's not technically a rookie, but any first-year quarterback could break out. So the quarterback room, I'd probably say, is the best in the league. It's tough because you compare this to a Josh Allen quarterback room. I prefer this one. I prefer this one because in all likelihood, you do have a top 5 quarterback, whether that's Murray, whether that's Williams, maybe a McCarthy, and then you've got another serviceable one. Najee Harris is fine. Bigsby's also fine. Tajay Spears is fine, and Cooper Kupp could be decent. I think the quarterback and the wide receiver room are probably the best in the league. Running backs are pretty weak. And, yeah, the wide receiver depth isn't great either. Alrighty, on to number 4, I believe. You got Jane Daniels, high floor, high ceiling guy. I like him, and I think they're going to be throwing the football more because I don't think they're going to be winning as much. Running backs, you got A-Chain, you got Pacheco. I think both those guys are, to some degree, boom or bust. A-Chain is going to be heavily reliant on if that offense is super efficient and scoring a lot of points. Pacheco depends on what kind of role he's getting. Are the Chiefs going back to that air raid offense? Is he going to be getting one rushing touchdown? Like, both of those guys are kind of question marks, but I'm going to presume one of them will work out. Wide receivers are amazing. You got Brian Thomas, who was 3rd last year in receiving yards. You got Jameson Williams, who is, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. This is going to be a hot take, but I would not be surprised if he outperforms Amon-Ra St. Brown this year. I would not be surprised. Book it. I think it's possible. Mike Evans, super reliable, super consistent. I'm not a big fan of tight ends, but Colson Loveland, look, when you draft a tight end that high, you're going to be utilizing him. So I think he'll get utilized. And I do like this. I love this bench. I think Cam Skattebo will be starting. Austin Eckler is if you're in a pinch, he's a great start. Justin Fields, I think if he's a good week 1, week 2, I think you trade him. Wide receivers are a little iffy. You got Alex Pierce. That's not much, but overall, I think the wide receiver starters are great. I think the bench is pretty solid with Tony Pollard. I mean, they're going to be relying on him heavily, I presume. And I think this is kind of a sleeper roster. Alrighty, on to number 3. Jared Goff, the quarterback, is probably the weakest link on this team. But when you leave that, and Jared Goff should be serviceable. He should be a top 10 guy. It's not going to be losing you any weeks. McCaffrey, I like big swings. McCaffrey could flame out. He could get injured. If he's healthy, he's the best running back in fantasy. Better than Saquon, better than Derrick Henry. He's the best guy. Omarion Hampton. Look, when you draft a running back in the first round, you're going to use him. And I get that he is to share with Najee Harris. I understand that. The thing about this is, though, when you use that draft capital, and when you were Jim Harbaugh, Omarion Hampton, he could be a Rookie of the Year candidate. He has high draft capital. He has the size, and he's going to get 15 and 20 touches per game. T. Higgins, it's flipped, but he's the wide receiver number 2 here. Phenomenal wide receiver number 2. Malik Neighbors, I think he's a sleeper to be the number 1 receiver in fantasy this year. Travis Hunter, another big swing. And look, if you're McCaffrey and Hunter bet pan out, this is the league winner. This is the league winner if both those bets pan out. If Hunter plays offense and occasionally sprinkles in on defense when needed, number 2 overall wide receiver is going to get touches. Is going to get touches and a lot of them, and he doesn't need money to go crazy. Anthony Richardson, although I think he's horrific at football, as a fantasy player, he is excellent. And, I mean, maybe if Goff doesn't pan out, Anthony Richardson's a great rushing quarterback. The running backs, you got a smorgasbord of them. I guess Mason could break out. Maybe Miles Sanders, just because of how bad that backfield is. Braylon Allen, possibly. You got quite a few running backs. Maybe one of them works out. Luther Burton for the Bears. The bench is kind of mediocre, but the starting lineup is phenomenal. And I like the draft strategy. I do like it. I think it's a potential league winner. At number 2, We have the Trevor Lawrence-led offense. I think Lawrence is going to be a top 10 fantasy quarterback. The running backs, a little so-so here. Alvin Kamara, though, I would not look. It gets tough because all the indicators, he's an older running back in a bad offense. But here's the thing. It's him and Olave, and Kamara is much more talented than Olave. How are they going to move the football? It's just Kamara on the ground, in the air. And I get they're going to be losing games, but he's also a great receiving threat. So I think Kamara is he's kind of a sleeper RB1. I could see it happening. James Conner, every year we expect him to fall off, and he never does. Now, maybe I'm saying this, and then this is the year he falls off, but I think that's a fine backfield. Wide receiver wise, you got CeeDee Lamb, who, if you force me to bet, it'd be CeeDee number 1 in fantasy this year. Malik Neighbors number 2. I think he's going to be phenomenal. The Cowboys can only throw the football. I mean, it's him and Pickens. I don't know who they're going to be running the football to. We just talked about that with the third team. Drake London, I think the Falcons' offense is going to be electric. I think he's going to be a top 5, top 8 fantasy receiver. The target share on that offense is insane. And I think you got possibly 2 top 5 receivers. Flex, I don't like tight ends, but George Kittle he's probably the focal point of this offense with Brock Purdy. He's pretty much locked into 100 targets, a lot of red zone targets. You got Tedero McMillan, who is going to be Bryce Young's best friend. When you draft a receiver in the top 10, he's going to get touches. Chris Godwin, once again, is a phenomenal wide receiver. It's a bit of a crowded team over there. But the bench, the bench is pretty solid here. We got Josh Jones, we got Hollywood Brown. Fine wide receivers, one of them might break out. Jack Betch, if that's how you pronounce his name. Maybe he's the breakout guy on Vegas. I don't know. I don't suspect it. You got Caleb Johnson, who... Is it going to be him? Is his number going to be the one that gets called? If it is, then you're going to have the Steelers are going to have a bad offense. I guarantee it. I know it for a fact. You're going to need, Caleb Johnson to be a difference maker. And then obviously you got the 2 quarterbacks at the top. You got Dak, you got Sam Darnold. I'm not a big fan of either of those guys, if I'm being honest, but you do have the Dak CD stack if they do go ballistic. Now, drum roll, please. On to the number 1 team in this fantasy league. I have the Bo Nix-led fantasy team. I'm pretty sure this guy is a Broncos fan, if I remember correctly. Bo Nix at quarterback, I don't like it. I'm just going to be completely honest, but when we get to the bench, you'll see why it's fine. I like the running back room a lot. I think Josh Jacobs is a sleeper overall RB1 in fantasy. I think the Packers are going to be looking to run the ball, establish the play-action game, help out Jordan Love a little bit. I think Josh Jacobs will be top 5 back. Breece Hall's a bit of a question mark because of Justin Fields going over there. The offense should be pretty mediocre, pretty standstill. But once we get past Breece Hall, which I guess is the weak link of this team, which is a pretty good weak link, we have Justin Jefferson, who no one argues is not a top 3 receiver in fantasy. You got Devontae Adams, who is going to be a top 12, top 15 guy in fantasy. Vegas has him projected to get 10 touchdowns. That's a stud of a wide receiver number 2. Joe Mixon in Houston. The offensive line's horrific. They're going to try to stay out of 3rd and longs, 4th and longs, 4th and mediums. Joe Mixon's going to be a huge part of that Texans offense. Xavier Worthy is my... kind of 4th, 5th, 6th round sleeper. I think between Jefferson, Adams, and Worthy, you're going to have 3 top 12, top 15 receivers. And then you got Rome Odunze, who is kind of a sleeper, but he could end up panning out. We'll have to see. Now, onto the bench. This is why I said I wouldn't worry about the quarterback situation. You got Justin Herbert. You got Bo Nix. Is it great? No. You probably have a below-average quarterback room, but you got 2 formidable ones. Running back-wise, you don't have much going on. Ricky Pearsall, I think, could break out. You got Kyle Williams as well. Somebody on the Patriots offense has to break out. Overall, I think that my first-place team, which is Nolan Sailors, my second place, I think my second place team will be better than my third place team. The reason why I would say the third place team has a better chance to win the championship, which is Chackies. So I've got Chackey and Nolan. I think those are the two most likely teams to win the chip. But Chackey, more of a boomer bust type team. And yeah, I'd say it's between first place and third place to win the championship. I think second place will be pretty solid.